Guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Oni and what kind of builds I recommend on him. Now, this is such a good killer. He recently did suffer a little bit of a nerf when they changed his turning off his using his ability. However, he is still a powerhouse. There are many builds you can run on him, and he can be quite an absolute machine in the right hands. Now, if we're going to talk really quickly about his special ability, the Oni builds up a rage or a blood mechanic. Every time he hits a survivor, he will then get a portion of his bar. It is approximately 45%. Much like a Michael Myers stalking, where the bar goes all the way round for the evil within, this here Blood Frenzy or Wrath, whenever he M1s a survivor, the bar will chunk up, a survivor will leave a trail of blood. He can then hold right mouse button to hold his hand out, and he will pick up their blood. If you hit an injured survivor, they do not drop any more blood. If you hit a healthy survivor, they drop 45% blood. You will always be leaving blood. If you crouch, you leave blood faster. If you teabag, you leave blood faster as well. Keep that in mind. When he hits maximum amount of blood, he will be able to activate Wrath. On his back, he has a giant mace, which he'll be able to pull out, and now he can down survivors in one hit, rather than having to hit them twice with the sword. He basically moves at 115% movement speed. While Wrath is activated, he has two special abilities. He has Demon Dash and Demon Strike. Demon Strike will allow him to pull up his hammer and down a survivor in one hit. If he pulls it up and holds it for a long period of time, he will do a bit of an extended dash with it, and he'll smack 3 times with the hammer on the ground as well. Keeping this in mind, he can be spun while he's doing these things. He has less aim assist, much like a hillbilly when he's doing it, but he still does have aim assist. His other special ability is Demon Dash. By the way, it is a timed period. So when he activates Wrath, there'll be a timer going down, much like the Evil Within 3 on Myers. There'll be a sound indicator when he hits max blood or max Wrath when he's ready to tear up. You will hear like a little drum going do-do. That means he's ready to activate his ability. You'll also be able to tell when he's ready to activate his ability because he walks with a sword, hand on a sword, and his hand out. His hand will be glowing red, so you're going to be able to know he can activate his abilities. Don't fall for the bait. That being said, when he activates, he screams, he pulls this sword out from his back. I don't know where the fuck he puts his katana, but he pulls a hammer out from his back, and now he's walking around like this with a hammer. And then when he goes for a strike, etc, etc. His other special ability is Demon Dash. With Demon Dash, he runs really fast, but he can turn, and hitting things does not stop him. Like, there is no form of collision punishment. He moves at 195.5% movement speed. These kind of numbers are huge. For example, a hillbilly moves at 230% without add-ons, but if a hillbilly collides with something, he stops his chainsaw. It takes 2.3 seconds to rev a hillbilly's chainsaw. While he activates Demon Dash, collision won't stop him. He can also do a dash coming out of Demon Dash to instantly down a survivor in one hit, catching the off-guard survivors. By default, the Oni has a 32-meter tear radius and moves at 115% movement speed. Infectious Fright is a very strong perk on him and commonly used entwined with Knockout based on his snowball slugging potential. Back in the PTB, when you down a survivor and pick them up, you lost your ability completely. When you down a survivor and pick them up, it ends your fury or your wrath, and you keep however much of the bar you had. So that's really good, because now you can do 1 or 2 players. If you down somebody with Infectious Fright, you see 2 people scream, you pick them up, you take them to the hook for Pop Goes the Weasel. You down somebody with Infectious Fright, you see 1 person scream, you can Demon Dash straight to him if you know he's in the open, down him, then pick him up and save half your bar. He can be very good on open maps like Blood Lodge. Now, I know Blood Lodge has a lot of pallets, that's why you'll be looking at the build I've got here, which is known as a clown build, or even an old school hillbilly build. Not too old school, but still, before better perks came into the equation. Now, I think this killer is worse than the Hillbilly. I find the Hillbilly better because he has unlimited chainsaw downs on demand. His turning did change a little bit with the recent changes. He can still turn pretty decently. I'm not going to try and pretend he cannot. So right now you're looking at Ruin, which is basic at the start of the game. It's going to stall down generators and stop me from getting gen rushed in corners of the map. Normally, I'd like to tell you you don't need Ruin, you could run something better, but there's no point in running Horn of Ground or Devour Hope on a killer who has an instant down as well on hand when he has it built up. Now, you can use your Demon Dash to chase people down, or you can use it to get across the board to kick Jennies with Pop. You can use it in a lot of situations. Whispers isn't bad on him based on the map you're obviously on. Whispers is good on a lot of killers based on his movement speed as well, and how he can get around the board very, very quick. Pop's going to be here for stability and regression. Quick numbers on Ruin. Jenny takes 80 seconds to do. If you miss a skill check on a Jenny, it goes back back an additional 3%. 3 plus 5 is going back 8%. If you're looking at a Jenny taking 80 seconds to do, missing a skill check, 5% of 80 is 4. Therefore, you're losing 4 seconds on a Jenny plus 1 second stall when no one gets any productivity, and then you can keep working on it. So Ruin's not a bad one if it lasts. It's on a totem spawning randomly on the map, so it's a luck-dependent perk as opposed to Corrupt, which is what you can do in 120 seconds. Pop's going to give you 25% regression. This is the stability of the build. This is going to allow me good regression, good kind of pressure throughout the board, and allow me to kick the Jennies that are nearly done by a survivor. If a Jenny's at 99% completed, so 79 seconds completed out of 80, and I kick it with Pop, it goes back 20 seconds and then starts regression on it too. It can be very good for somebody greeting on a generator that you down in front of the Jenny, you hook them beside the Jenny, you kick the Jenny with Pop. Now it's going to go back so far. Now they can't come and tap the Jenny, complete the Jenny, and hook save him, because it's going to take a long period of time. It's going to take 20 seconds to do that, as opposed to saving a guy who takes 60 seconds to hit struggle, then 60 seconds to die from struggle as well, so keep that in mind. Next perk you're going to see is Enduring. Enduring allows you to recover from a pallet stun 50% quicker. Recently there was a nerf to Enduring, making it down from 75%, but up to 50%. That didn't make sense. Okay, recently Enduring was 75%, it got a nerf down to 50%, but all killers got a buff in terms of how quickly they recovered from a pallet stun without the perks. So every killer got kind of like built-in Enduring. Not a lot, but a little bit, so they recover quicker if you walk into a very good pallet. I'm running Enduring and Spirit Sphere here. Keep in mind, while he has his sword out, he cannot break pallets. He has to break it through spacebar, but if he is enraged with his hammer, he can break it with the hammer as well. Kind of like built-in brutal strength, but it takes a little bit of time to charge as well. Spirit's Fury, self-explanatory. If I walk into a pallet while having my special ability out, or even my M1, if I'm pallet stunned after I've broken 2 pallets, the pallet will instantly break, and I will recover at the speed of Enduring. So it breaks it faster than Brutal Strength, and I'll be able to outplay the survivor in most scenarios. It is an okay build. I'm not going to try and tell you this is the best Oni build like I do in a lot of my videos. I'm not going to sell you on this, alright? I'm going to tell you Infectious Fright is a good option as well to be able to go for snowballs. I'm going to tell you Thrilling Tremor will give you good information, so will Barbecue to allow you to know where to go out through the board. I'm going to tell you Nemesis and Play With Your Food is a devastating combo. If you're unaware of what Nemesis does, I will quickly get it up on screen for you guys once I find it alongside Play With Your Food, which is going to be hiding somewhere, so we can see Play With Your Food there, and Nemesis, which we're going to be able to pick up any second now. Nemesis, my good sir. This combo here is what I refer to as the Fungoose combo. If you guys haven't already looked at the Fungoose special, that is a very good build that I highly recommend to make weaker killers very strong at rank 1. Check it out. I'm sure you'll be able to find it in the recommended tags as well. So this is going to allow you to get 5% movement speed when you end chase with your Obsession. This is going to allow you to make whoever pallet stuns you your Obsession. You walk through every pallet. If he stuns you, you pretty much get Bloodlust. I'm not going to explain too much into it because I went into exquisite detail alongside in the Fungoose special build, which you guys, like I said, are going to be able to find. This here is a very, very good combo for killers like Plague, killers like Oni, and killers like Leatherface. However, he does fall off a little bit from it based on the fact that, first of all, it's really hard to use, and he doesn't have an instant down at all times. Plague has an instant down at all times, and so does Leatherface. He's the only one out of the 2 that do not have an instant down at all times. However, 5% movement speed is the difference between you catching somebody at a jungle gym who's very, very good at looping and having them give you the pallet early. It'll stop so many outplays, man. Trust me when I say this here is the counter people with thousands of hours kind of combo. It's hard to use and understand, so like I said, we're not going to explain too much about it in this video. Okay, the other choices that we're going to be looking at, remember I recommended Enduring and I recommended Spirit Fury just for the basic player. You could obviously go Thrilling Tremor. Thrilling Tremor is going to give you good stall throughout the board regardless of the situation. You don't want Devour Hope, you don't want Horn of Ground, you don't want Save the Best for Last. This final perk is pretty much a filler, whatever you prefer to have on it. Now, some would say Brutal Strength. I disagree with that completely. Some would say Agitation. I yet again disagree with that completely. You could be running something like Surge, but you only get value if you M1 somebody down, as opposed to using your gadget, which is the hammer on your back. You will not get value out of it. Running things that increase people's bleeding, like Sloppy Butcher, does not increase the amount of blood that is dropped on the ground, so you can count that out of the way too. This is pretty much a filler perk. You don't need it for anything, but if it's there, it's there. If I had to pick a basic perk and I didn't want to run Enduring Spirit Fury, it'll obviously be Discordance. Yes, I'm running Thrilling Tremor and Discordance, but this is going to tell me where 2 people at least are, or more targets. Jeff is in chase, Nia's on the ground, and now I know where I need to to go with Pop Goes the Weasel when I down Jeff, etc. I'll use my ability to get Jeff down and go right across the board onto the other guys, and I can win off that. Alternatively, like I said, Infectious Fright. There is a lot of good combos on the Oni. There is no right way to play him. There's no real wrong way to play him. He is hard to play. There is a huge skill gap that can be reached on him as well. He's decent on most maps. However, if you're new to Dead by Daylight, I do not recommend him as a killer for you to play. Now, there are a couple of add-ons here to point out that are very good. Conveniently, this is one of the few killers in Dead by Daylight where all purple add-ons are actually quite lethal. This increases your movement speed with Demon Dash, so it makes you move more than 195.5% movement speed. It can be very good about getting across the board. This allows you to activate your ability and have it last longer, but does not take more to build up, unlike Michael Myers things that do say increase stalk required for either within 3 to last 40 seconds longer, 30 seconds longer. This does not affect that. You still have to hit them twice and have a little bit of blood. It'll still give you 45% of the bar. However, you're going to be able to activate it for a longer period of time. Therefore, there is no counter negative to it. The next one, moderately increase the amount of blood orbs survivors drop. Survivors are going to be dropping more blood, allowing you to get your ability more often. Keep in mind, while you activate your ability, you cannot see blood orbs on the ground. However, you can generally catch an urban evading hiding player based on blood and where they were if you can't track scratch marks. I find this killer's tracking is insane, so I don't feel I need Thrilling or Discordance based on the fact that scratches last 10 seconds, crows respawn 20 seconds, etc. If a crow just respawned, you run up to where the crow was, somebody was here 20 seconds ago, can't see scratch either way, do I see a blood trail, etc, etc. You can track so easy as opposed to having to overthink things. Moving on to the next one as well, considerably decreased consumption penalty of Blood Fury when downing a survivor. So yet again, I didn't mention this, when you down a survivor, you do get a penalty of how much of your Fury is used. It consumes a bit more. This allows it to be less, and then you can pick them up. You can still down multiple people, though. It's not really that recognizable to be like, oh my god, it's a huge nerf to Oni, or oh my god, it's a huge buff to Oni. But they're very, very good. If we're scrolling down to his brown add-ons, there's some okay ones. Slightly increased movement while absorbing bloods does near to nothing as well. Slightly increased activation rate. That's not bad. I'm not going to lie, because when you activate it, you can hammer somebody down. You shouldn't be activating it if he's at a good jungle gym either. You should just take an M1 and leave. If he's at a really, really good jungle gym, I might just leave full stop, or even not try and hit him. So all in all, he's got some really good purple add-ons. It kind of stops around there. You've obviously got weaker versions of the purple in the green as well. So you've got dash. Yes, double dash does stack as well. If I had to play Oni to win without using any of the high tier add-ons, I would have moderately increased dash, and I'd go considerably increased activation rate, which is also really good. Alternatively, I could be looking at getting rid of this one here for dash and making my ability last longer. I will recommend the game as per usual, but if I had to pick a map off the game that I wanted to play on Oni, these are very hard to hit around. This is probably going to be a bad map. I'd actually pick Macmillan Estate. If I get something like Sheltered Woods, I'm in a good spot. If I get something like the Coal Tower, I'm in a good spot. It's just really good maps based on the killer's movement, and there's not many things to get in your way as well. Alrighty guys, that's going to be all for this Oni video. If you guys learned anything, that'd be awesome. If you guys didn't learn anything, you can pop over to the live stream where I stream Dead by Daylight 5 days a week, and you guys can come in and learn or help me teach the beautiful people of chat. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, and pop over to the live stream over here at Twitch and say g'day as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.